Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by the founder and CEO of Mums with Hustle, a business mentoring and coaching community for small businesses run by mums. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Tracy Harris.
Hello, it's great to be here.
So we're here today to chat about your journey creating and growing the Mums with Hustle community. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a brief little introduction as to who Tracy is away from all of this business world?
Okay, I can. Away from all of the business world. Thanks for adding in that little bit because I would have gone on a different direction. Okay, so separate to the business, I am a mum of two boys. I'm married my high school sweetheart. So corny, but very happy. I live an hour outside of Sydney. I love socializing, travel, riding on my Peloton bike. Very high vibe sort of person, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't come without like its dips in energy. And I very much, like a lot of people, need to recharge my batteries after big bursts of work. And I know we're going to get into talking about being creative. So I hope to circle back to that point because that is part of my creative process. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm a first generation Australian, so that may be particularly relevant to other people that relate to that. I was born in South Africa in 1984. I am a woman of color, so I was born in the apartheid era and raised for the first 5 years of my life under legalized segregation. So that usually blows some people away to kind of be like, what? But you're so young. What do you mean? People had to live in different places according to their race. Yes, they did.
Yeah, it's
But
not
my
all that long
parents made
ago.
a it's not all that long ago. Yeah. My parents made that brave decision to apply to immigrate to Australia. And then we did. So I started primary school here. I've been, tried Vegemite for the first time when I was 5 years old, really, and never looked back. Adopted a fake Australian accent, which has now become a real one. And here we go. So that's
Awesome.
kind of me in a nutshell.
Very nice. So then on the business side, what
Yeah.
inspired you to create Mums with Hustle?
Oh my gosh, that's such a cool question. I did not know that I would become a digital entrepreneur at all. I was not one of those people that felt like I had that in my blood or in my path. 9 years ago, I was actually a primary teacher and I really loved that career path. Um, and then I had a baby and I had 13 months off with him. And then I returned to work at a part-time capacity.
Mhm.
And it just was very clear that that was not really appreciated by leadership at the time. I really hope things have changed because that was like 9, 10 years ago now. So hopefully there's been some progression there with mothers returning to work in teaching. But at the time, for me, all kinds of pressure was put on me. And I was actually given an ultimatum to keep my leadership role and come back full time, even though I had a 1-year-old, or to hand in that leadership role. And so it was a clash of values. It was that opportunity to be like, oh my gosh, do I value status and career and towing the line and being the good girl and certainty and the same amount of money coming into my bank account every single week or fortnight more than I value my family, my dreams, doing things my own way. And it was the line in the sand moment. And it was very dark and very stressful. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression in that process. So
Yeah,
I speak about it now
very
and I can speak about
understandable.
it. Yeah, I can speak about it with so much lightness, but really it was a very dark time. Very, very, very hard. And I chose to walk away. I chose to walk away for myself. for the baby that I had, for how I wanted to show up in my marriage. Like, I lost my happy, sparkly self. I didn't want to be like that. I knew I wanted to have another baby one day, and it made me sad to think about growing a baby inside of me when I had such a toxic energy inside of myself. I was like, oh, I want to heal all of that before I fall pregnant with the next bub. And that healing just is not going to happen if I stay in a toxic work environment. For other people, maybe that work environment wasn't toxic. For them, maybe they thrived. But for me, with the set of values that I had, there was a definite clash and friction. And I feel like everybody has those moments where things don't feel aligned for them. And like most people, I tried to push it down deep. I tried to make it normal that, oh, well, you're not supposed to love your job. Or it's normal for your boss to not be nice to you. Or, you know, it's normal to live for Fridays and dread Mondays. Like, suck it up.
Yep.
Or you have a $25,000 HECS debt. You need to keep in that career path. I had all of that going through my head. But what won in the end is my value system and a deep belief in myself that I don't have to know where I'm going to end up. I just know it's going to be great as long as I follow my values and what feels fun, because following what felt like anxiety and depression and icky, that wasn't leading anywhere great. So I knew that. So I was like, I'll just get rid of that and I'll go over here. So that's how Mums with Hustle started, was with that painful, holy crap moment of the thing that I thought would be my forever career is not. And then I had to get that creative process going of figuring out what was I going to do. If I started an online business, what would it look like? And I had to go through a whole creative process there.
Was your leadership role, is that sort of what led you down the sort of coaching mentoring path, or was that just after a process of, oh, maybe I'll like create stuff and sell those online, or different ideas for a business, and then you just went, okay, no, I can use my previous experience to create this business?
Yes, so much. And I feel like for all of us, we have a common thread in the things that we're doing. And, you know, some of us are in this lifetime to do many things, and that's okay. I want to normalize that as well. But even if you are that sort of person that feels called to do many things or have many careers or start many businesses, there's always a common thread that runs through all of them. And for me, the common thread between being a teacher, then being in leadership, and then doing what I do now is this love of helping people tap into their own purpose and their own potential through educating them. So I was teaching as a teacher. I'm teaching now as a business coach and someone that has online programs. And that leadership piece, you're right, in helping to develop the capacity within others to go out and create the things that they want to create. I love that leadership side, that mentoring, coaching side. So very much I have found the common thread of what was it about teaching and educational leadership that I truly loved, because it wasn't making the classroom look pretty.
Yep.
And, you know, setting up the art corner and hanging things on the wall. That wasn't, if I could never do that again, I'd be quite okay. But the part that I truly loved was the development of learning programs and making a difference and seeing someone reach their potential, and that community side. I'm very big on community. All of my paid programs and courses, they all come with community, because I just believe when we were never made to be isolated and be by ourselves. We need to be in community with others. And when we are, we can just go so much further. And business and life is just more fun. So, you know, that's what I liked about education, is the teaching and leading side and the community side. But the rest could just, you know, stay over there. So I'm grateful, because that all of those degrees, my master's, all of that, it wasn't a waste. It was getting me ready for the move in direction to where I am now.
Yep. Yeah. Not specifically going down the path that it says on the piece of paper, but using those skill sets
Yes.
and using your passion to help draw out other people's passions.
Yes. I think we can, speaking of being creative, that means thinking outside of the box. And when I was a little girl, I feel many people will relate to this. When I was a child and you thought of, oh, I want to be a teacher, what image comes to your mind? It is most likely that you have a class of 20 to 30 people. The classroom is a box. There's a board at the front. You walk in two lines. Like, that's the image. What we experience as children ourselves is often the image that we bring to that profession when we think about it. But it's like, no, there's so much more than just teaching in that context. That's one way of teaching. That's one context of teaching. But when you think creatively, it's like, oh my gosh, where else is there a need for teaching? And so for me, it's like, oh, I want to teach women that are ambitious, that feel like they don't really fit into the workplace, that ideas are too big for that. Let's teach those people how to create their own thing and develop their own business that gives them the freedom and flexibility and financial freedom that being in their career just isn't going to give them. So I hope that explains a little bit about the origin of the business.
Yeah, that's perfect. And given that you've grown this business from scratch up to where it is now, do you feel that that experience is helping you now connect and empathize further with the women in the courses?
So much. We have so much in common. Not everyone has started their business because, they had a horrible return to work situation like what I did. Some people had a very lovely, supportive return to work situation. It was just more of an awakening in terms of looking at what path they're on now and looking ahead in the future and going, okay, I can pretty much predict where this is going to lead. And that doesn't sit well with me. I want something else. So then they'll reassess their life and their choices that they're making now and think about, well, if what I'm doing now is going to lead me there, but I don't want that, let me think about what I do want and let's create a business that gives me that life by design. And that's where I come in. That's my favorite thing to help people do, is to have them start with life and then go backwards and design an online business that honors who they are. I don't want their business to look like mine because chances are that's not going to feel good for them. They're not going to show up in their best way. But I want to help them create a business that suits who they are and gets them that dream life that they want, because it's different for every person.
And is it just as rewarding for you now to see your business grow, but then also see all of the people that you've coached grow their business as well?
Yes, it is like an addiction, but a good one. It's so lovely. And, what good is knowledge if it's not shared? I just love it. My favorite thing is like, I'm an ideas generator. So I can see business ideas for every single person, like within a few seconds of interacting with them. And I love passing them on to my clients and letting them know what I see. And more often than not, when I'll offer them a suggestion, they will say, oh my gosh, that feels so good. Like instantly in their body, they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Why didn't I think of that? And it's like, well, that's okay. That's why we work together. Like I've thought of it. Your job is to take it and now run with it. And then they are amazing at that part. It is very rewarding. I have had women retire husbands, much like myself. I've had women be able to create a digital business that sees them traveling full time around Australia or in other countries. We have women that are able to provide employment opportunities to other women. And, just be great leaders themselves. There's so much goodness that has come from it. And I will never tire from getting emails or DMs on Instagram of women telling me how their lives have changed because they're growing a digital business that is smart and sustainable and scalable.
Awesome. And then conversely, what have been some of the biggest challenges for you growing Mums with Hustle and the Social Method Society?
I feel like it is the mental game. You know, you can go online and you can learn just about anything. Like, information is only so valuable. But what you need to do is you have to actually apply it. Like, what is good? What is the information if you're not applying it? And, you know, with application, there's two parts. It's like, well, do you have the skills to apply the information that you just learned? You can learn those skills. That's great. But then the second part is, do you have the resilience and the growth mindset to apply those skills? And for most people, and myself included, it's that mental game that has been the greatest challenge of growing my business. Things like imposter syndrome. You can go one moment feeling like you've got the greatest idea and everyone's going to love it. And just, you know, the next minute you can be full of doubt about that thing, or have that inner critic saying like, who are you to do this? Or that's not valuable enough, or you can't charge that, or, oh my gosh. And then you go into your shell. And I very much had that at the beginning. And I still get bouts of that now. I just know that that inner critic is not the voice of truth. It's just a natural part of how the brain is designed to work, because what the brain is built to do is to keep us safe and to do what's predictable, what is familiar, what is known. So the second I know I'm trying to bring something to life in my business that is new for me, I expect the imposter syndrome to come. And I'm already armored to defend myself against it. So, you know, it's the mental game that is the hardest, and it doesn't go, but it's like training, like exercise for anything. You just have to build that tenacity and that resilience. It doesn't come without practice. So you got to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I've totally had bouts of that myself where you just all of a sudden you're like, why am I doing this? I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Oh, yeah. Or like with my podcast, oh my gosh, how many people are even listening to this thing? Like, a podcast costs money, and I wasn't making money for a whole year, yet I was producing a podcast every single week. And it costs money in terms of the platform and the software and all of the things. And let's not even talk about your time and your effort. And then you're like, this is madness. No one else would sit here doing this except a crazy entrepreneur. But that's all right. I've learned that we literally are like 1% of the population. So if you feel crazy, it's because you are. You just need to go hang out with the other 1% of crazies, and then you feel better.
Yep. And I've found not to compare myself is one of the biggest things. Like, don't look at my numbers and someone else's numbers, because that's an instant bad idea.
Yeah. And numbers don't even reflect the depth of the connection that you have with the people that are, say, reading your blog or listening to your podcast. That, yes, that is quantitative data that you're getting when you look at numbers, but there's qualitative data. And I think we have to pay attention to that, because every single person that has come into one of my programs, in particular, even my mastermind, that's a very high-priced, high-end mastermind. Every single person that I interviewed as part of their application process for that mastermind said that they listened to my podcast. And so I just think, just imagine if I quit when those numbers were, you know, under 100.
Yeah, just on the starting slope.
Yeah, just imagine. It's like, no. So give yourself that pep talk of, you know, it's cumulative. It's all adding up. And where you are now is not where you're going to be. Like, I'm almost 9 years in now of having a weekly podcast. That's a long time. So are you prepared to go for that long if you knew that you'd have like a $1 million plus business in a few years' time?
Yep.
Would you keep going? I think people would say, yeah, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
No, but then we forget because the imposter syndrome and the comparison and all of that shows up and we get tired. That's the thing. The ones that succeed are the ones that don't get tired. We just keep going.
And then with some of your experiences with the students, what are some of the biggest mistakes or pitfalls that you see sort of constantly popping up?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days because I'm gearing up to launch something new to help more women grow their course and membership businesses. And so that question has been at the forefront of my mind. And a lot of people, myself included, are guilty of trying to overcomplicate a launch because, like you mentioned, Jamie, that comparison syndrome kicks in. You see how other people are launching, you see how other people are creating offers, and you see these people having 6-figure, 7-figure launches online for their whatever it is that they're doing. And then you try to reverse engineer what they're doing, or you go and buy a course that teaches you some fancy fandangle way of doing things. And it's right. It's just not right for you in the season where your audience is small. So then you're creating so much in terms of your workload, so much in terms of input for very little output because you simply don't have the numbers to convert to get the same result as the cool person that you saw online. So it's not going to work. And then you feel exhausted because you've just done so much intense work and you feel bitter or just defeated because the output in terms of results or the revenue generated really didn't match the input. And now you've got like some post-launch syndrome, stress. You don't want to launch again. You didn't like it. It's been programmed in your mind as hard and heavy and doesn't do anything. And so most people quit. And so it's about, well, there's nothing wrong with those launch strategies. I teach those launch strategies, but only to people that are at the point of making those work. There are other launch strategies for people that are earlier in the game. It's going to get you some runs on the board and get you some results, and you're going to love it without feeling depleted. And you're going to stay in love with your business and keep launching and getting more complicated each time because that's your next best step. So that is one of the biggest things that I see people struggling, falling down that trap. And it comes back to comparison.
Yep. Yeah, the good old keep it simple, stupid method. Just let's
keep
not.
It so simple, stupid.
And I think a lot of people might compare those launch strategies and not realize that maybe that was an entire team of people working on that, not just an individual person.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. And now they're sitting there alone at home, like missing out on life and hanging out with friends or kids or whatever their beautiful life has. And they're just like sitting there in their cave doing all this extra work. And it is a numbers game. It's like it doesn't matter how brilliant your launch or your funnel is. It's like if you don't have enough people coming through for the conversion on the other end, then yeah, it's pretty predictable, really.
So then, without giving away all of your secrets, obviously, what are some of your top tips for people starting out with a small business?
What type of small business are you referring to? Are you speaking specifically about online digital businesses or business in general?
It's just business in general.
Okay. So for me, it is being 100% clear about who your customer is, even if it's a physical product that you sell or if it's a service that you provide, like who is that person? Or if you are in online education and mentorship like myself, who is that person? Because there's room for all of us. You don't have to sit on an idea and not launch that e-commerce store or that coaching business because you think there are other people out there. No, that's validation. That means there is a need, but you do have to be specific to the type of person. And that's how you find your edge. And that's how people are magnetized to you. The second you say, I teach Instagram to course and membership owners, all of a sudden those people are going to listen to what you're saying versus I teach Instagram to everybody, or I specialize in Instagram marketing for brick and mortar businesses. Like, it's very different. So really thinking about who your customer is and then narrowing your message to that person. That's probably the first thing. And then the second thing is be on social media, have a presence, even just a baseline presence of claiming a handle or like a username, and having, let's talk about Instagram because that's my favorite platform. Let's say you jumped on Instagram, you took your business name or the name of your podcast or whatever it is. Have a bio that attracts that ideal customer that I just explained. And even if you just like did 1 or 2 posts and then left it at that, because you're probably a solopreneur doing 1,000 other things, at least you're there, because people will come when they hear about you and search for you and check you out and just almost do like a little cross check of, okay, who's this person? Okay, cool. Oh, here's their website. Okay, cool. That both matches. Plus it matches what my friend said about them. So now there's almost instant trust. Now that's phase 1. Phase 2 would be getting yourself an Instagram strategy and being a bit more intentional about using the platform and being consistent and posting regularly. But at a minimum, be on social media. Pick your platform, the one that you want to master, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, whatever you want it to be. Pick the one that is best for your ideal audience and then master it. So 2 things there: know the ideal customer and niche your messaging to suit them and attract them. And the second one, pick your social media platform and get on there and make a pledge to master it.
Do you think that's a pitfall people fall into as well, trying to just be on every platform at once?
Yes. It's so exhausting. Now they're making themselves work even harder, Jamie. So they're doing this crazy launch and then they're trying to be on all of the things. Oh, no wonder they're giving up.
Yep.
Because it's hard when you do that. So, I believe, honestly, until you're making $1 million in revenue a year, you don't need to be on more than one platform if you've mastered the platform. And I know that sounds crazy. And for some people, they can't imagine making $1 million. But it's like, yeah, you can relax and not be on all of the platforms until that day comes. So I'm not saying don't have a presence. Remember that baseline presence of at least claim the handle, have a bio, post a couple of things, because if someone is going to look for you on TikTok, you at least want to exist there. But then if you've chosen Instagram as your main thing, then that's the one you go in for in terms of mastery.
So then this is our International Women's Month edition. How beneficial can entrepreneurship be for women in terms of sort of freeing them up to spend more time with their kids and family and things like that?
It's got its complexities and its challenges. It sounds like a really lovely, rosy thing to do, to have your own business. But unfortunately, society has to still catch up. And, a lot of the women in my community tell me that their business isn't at an even playing field as, say, their spouse's business or their husband's business. Because if there's 2 people that have a business in a household, it's kind of like maybe his is more important than hers is, if they had to look at who gets to work on their business and when. And so that's not the same in every household. And that's something that couples really should talk about. I want everyone to work on their communication with their partner. If they are in a relationship or in a marriage, let that person in on your goals and your plans and your big vision, and let them know that you're serious about your business. Let them know that you're investing in yourself. If we want more women to do well in business, then we as women need to feel comfortable in investing in ourselves. We need to be able to, not seeking permission to purchase a course. I'm not saying go and blow $10,000 on some sort of program and keep it a secret and don't say anything. I'm saying letting your partner know, hey, these are the goals I have. This is this person's program and this is what they do. For me to get to the outcome that I want, I have a massive skill gap, and I also need some mindset coaching and some accountability to be able to do that, because it is hard and it is scary. I would like to invest in doing this program, but not from a place of asking for permission. It's got a very different energy when you're having that conversation.
And make it more of
And that's
a
really
partnership.
hard. Yeah, it's really hard. And a lot of women tell me that they feel like every time they're investing in their business, they're taking from the family or they're taking from the household, versus they're investing in themselves, they're investing in the family, they're investing in the household. So, you know, there's the theme of International Women's Day is equity. And I know that you can say it's equality to say a man can have a business and a woman can have a business, but equity is different to equality. Equity is understanding that for her, there are some unique challenges that maybe don't exist for the male. And it's about supporting her so that now they are at equal advantage. I saw a beautiful illustration because I was having a bit of trouble understanding the difference between equality and equity. And I saw this image on the International Women's Day website, and it had these 3 children, and they were all on like a step or a block so that they could see over a fence.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say equality is that everyone got a step to stand on. Everyone got a step. But equity is, well, the first kid is super tall, so he can clearly see over the fence. The middle kid is like, can just like on tippy toes kind of see, even though his block is the same height as the older kid. And the youngest child, same height of block that they're stepping up onto, but he's literally eye level with the fence, can't see a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference between equality and equity. And so I just think we need to have conversations around that. It's equality to say men and women can each have businesses and be parents, but what is the equity like when it comes to the time spent in your business, when it comes to investing in yourself? How easy are we making it for ourselves and for women to invest in themselves? So very, very big topics that I hope people have this International Women's Day.
Yep. So then looking ahead for the rest of 2023, what's on the horizon for yourself, Mums with Hustle, and the Social Method Society?
Oh, well, because I have up-leveled a lot in the past couple of years. Like I said, it's like going into my 9th year of having an online business. And so as I grow and as I change and as I learn new exciting things and try so many things in my own business, I get to pass that on to the clients and customers that are in my world now. So I've got a couple of new exciting offers coming out specifically to help course and membership owners. I am loving my mastermind. Part of that mastermind program is that there's 2 in-person retreats. So I'm taking my mastermind clients away to the Gold Coast in March, and then in Sydney in October. Got lots of travel planned just with my family because I designed my business in a way that I can do that, and that feels really fun. My team is amazing. I'm like so happy with the current version of our team and who's on there and their zones of genius and how we all work together. So it's a year of, I think, expansion, like allowing myself to continue to grow, but to take my audience who are ready to grow further with me. And that is the best. Because like you asked earlier about that payoff and feeling so energized by helping other people succeed, like that is going to be bigger than ever this year. I can feel that.
Awesome. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track this
Oh,
creative journey moving forward?
oh, probably come over to Instagram, Mums with Hustle. There's no underscores or anything like that. My website is tracyharris.co. And on there, you can see all the podcast episodes, all the ways to work with me and things like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time and good luck with the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.